Let's go to a question from Kim. What question should I initiate to put a stone in the shoe of my Buddhist nail tech? I've known her 20 years and we've talked about Christ. However, it has been too surface and I need to do more.
My sense about people who are Buddhists, there's a question here. Is she Asian? I don't know. She could be Thai. And Thai are Buddhists because that's their national religion. And this is true of other countries as well.
Well, Thai is Asian too. Do you mean?
No. Well, so if they're Asian, the point I'm making is that she may be Buddhist because she's raised in a Buddhist home, and this is associated with her ethnicity. Then you've got American Buddhists. You got gringos that are Buddhist, kind of, and these people don't know anything about Buddhism, many of them. Buddhism at its core, first of all, it's non-theistic. God is not a factor in Buddhism. You do have kind of godlike characters like bodhisattvas who have attained a certain level of enlightenment, but ultimately Buddhism is about suffering. That's the core. And how do you escape suffering? And you could take the fivefold path to try to escape suffering, but ultimate escape comes in nirvana, and nirvana is extinction. You disappear. There's actually no permanent self, no ego, permanent individual in that view. So, and for some reason, like Americans, when they do Buddhism, they have these little bits and pieces that they think are so cool, but they're not really engaging the religious philosophy itself. So you might want to start by asking a lot of questions just about, when you say you're Buddhist, what exactly does that look like? What is that view? I think if they're American, people who are kind of doing the Buddhist thing, what they're going to talk about are individual aspects of Buddhist practice that they like. Well, I do meditation and it makes me feel better. They're not in touch with the structure of reality that Buddhism offers. It's a false characterization of it, but it does offer a structure of reality. And so I'd want to ask a lot of questions of what it is that you think that you what do you what is the what do you mean by that? What is the Buddhism that you believe in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you mentioned something earlier, and it has to do with guilt. And what is it that you do with your guilt? And this goes back to the forgiveness issue. Let me tell you why Jesus is important, because it's the suffering in the world that we know of, even as Buddhists, that we see and we're trying to avoid, is a result of sin. And the sin isn't just out there somewhere. Sin is what we commit. We're responsible for that. Now what? Here is a way, and maybe sometimes it's just a contrasting view, okay? This is what Buddhism teaches. I'm going to tell you what Jesus thought. Jesus understood that there is a God before whom we live and who we have disobeyed, and therefore we are guilty and subject to punishment. Well, I don't like that. Well, I don't like it either. But that's not the issue. The issue isn't whether we like Buddhism or not. The issue is whether Buddhism is true, or in this case, if Jesus is true. Jesus wasn't a Buddhist. He was a Torah-observant Jew. Some people have tried to, remake Jesus into some kind of Eastern mystic. That's a New Age approach, but it's not sound, because there's nothing New Age about Jesus at all. No, so we tell what the truth is, and even if it's just by contrast. Now, here's the difference, one thing to avoid, if what we're doing is offering a contrast. It's not a matter of, okay, this is your view, and here is my view, and this is, you adopt that religion, I adopt religion. We're not just trading religious stories here. What we're trying to help people to see is, and this is needs to be built in the way we communicate it, is that this is the way the world actually is. Okay. Now, last weekend for us, we were at Reality, and I gave a 6-7 minute presentation at the end, which included the gospel. and I talked about how my brother 50 years ago told me before I was a Christian, the things that I'm telling you are true, Greg. Sooner or later, you're going to find that out. I just hope that when you do, it's not too late. Okay, that stuck with me all these years because it was so powerful. He wasn't making a defense for Christianity. He was communicating the stakes in a clear way and a confident way. This thing is true. And so I told the kids, you're going to stand before Jesus. Someday you will stand before him. And then he will open the books and see how you've done. And that's not going to be a pretty picture, and you know that. And one of two things is going to happen. Either Jesus pays or you pay. That's it. That's the calculus. So notice in this situation, I'm not saying, well, Christians believe this is going to happen, but Buddhists believe this. Now I'm relativizing everything. I'm telling these students, this is the way it is. And one day you're going to stand before him. As a matter of fact, sooner or later it's going to happen. I just hope when it does, it's not too late kind of thing to repeat what my brother Mark told me. So that's the way I would try to approach this. I was influenced by my brother's grace towards me, but also his confidence and non-compromise. Greg, I love you. I'm telling you this, but this is the fact of the matter. And even if a person is a postmodernist, they still are human beings made in the image of God, and they have this existential desire for forgiveness to get past the guilt that they know they carry, even though it may be underneath the surface. It's still there.
I think one thing that might be helpful, and you touched on this, Greg, is to ask, what is the goal of Buddhism? What are you trying to, where are you trying to get? What are you trying to achieve? What's the highest goal? And if the goal, as you say, Greg, is to separate yourself from all desires so that there's no more suffering, and then you're kind of absorbed into the oneness of the universe or whatever it is, I mean, surely that's not the greatest thing we can imagine. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you could just ask her, how do you feel about that being kind of annihilated and becoming one? I mean, sure, that ends the suffering, but then it stops there. Christianity ends the suffering, but then we offer the kindness of God lavished on us and for eternity. And so there's no sort of reward. There's just we lose all the things that have been hurting us, but then that's it. And that seems bleak. I mean, I don't think I'd put it this way, but I think I would just draw out her vision of what is the best outcome of reality, or if she desires more. I can't imagine that she doesn't if she really thinks about it.
Well, there's another question, too, and the standard for the tactical approach is, why would she think that particular way of looking at reality is accurate? How did you come to that conclusion? What are your reasons for this? Why would you think that that's actually the way the world is? So why should we believe Buddhist take? Oh, yeah, there's suffering. That's the human condition, okay? But why should we believe that Buddhist take on it and his solution and the ultimate end of all things is accurate? Because we are talking about stories of reality here. We are not talking about preferred belief systems. Oh, I like this one and you like that one. Actually, I don't like Christianity. There's a lot of things about it I don't like. I think it is noble and good, okay, because God is noble and good. But there's aspects of it that are difficult. So the goal isn't to find something we like. The goal is to find out what's true, ultimately. And I'm convinced Christianity is true, even though I have tons and tons of unanswered questions, especially to how we live the Christian life and different things like that. They'd have to do with sanctification, not apologetics issues, but I don't think those are the hard ones. I think it's the theological issues that are more difficult, walking with God. But in any event, go ahead.
And we've talked about this before, but you mentioned, how do we know this is true? Well, you have one man having a vision and having an idea about what's true with really no way to test it.
Buddha you're talking about.
Yes. Whereas with Christianity, you have God interacting with history, and you have a whole, 1,500 years of interacting with a nation, and then Jesus and the resurrection, and all of these things are publicly accessible, and God interacted with multiple people
And,
over the years.
and we have a quite thoroughgoing historical record of that, not just the kind of the story of Gautama Buddha and what he endured and what he thought.
Yeah, so that is one advantage that we have when we're making our case, is that
Huge.
we have reasons that aren't just internal reasons or subjective reasons to think that Christianity is true. So when you ask that question, just keep that in mind as something you can offer. How can I know if it's true? How, you can tell me how you know it's true, but how can I know it's true?
Right, right. Just remember, Emmanuel, God with us. God came down. That's huge. God came down. He is there, and he is not silent, is the name of the book of Francis Schaeffer. And that's his point. God is really there, but he has not hidden himself. He has not only spoken, but he has come down to earth to make himself known, and his feet touch the dirt in a way that could be quantified and chronicled for us.